Life is expensive. When we think about poverty, homelessness, shifting labor markets, and a general indication that people are finding it really tough to get by, a not so new idea is being talked about again. It's called guaranteed basic income. It's the idea of giving people a set amount of money each month. No special criteria, no restrictions, just giving them money for them to spend as they need to. In this video, I'll talk about what that might look like, why it's a great idea if it's done right, and what might happen if it's implemented poorly. Right off the bat, we need to clarify that we're not talking about a lot of money for each person here, but it's enough to make a huge impact. It's enough to help them meet their basic needs, not provide all those basic needs. It won't pay all your rent and buy all your groceries and allow you to just sit back and cruise. What it will do is take some of the pressure off and give people space to make decisions that will lead to healthier and more satisfied lives. There are a couple of main programs that we're talking about here. Universal basic income is one, and guaranteed basic income is the other. And yes, there are some other variations on this theme, but let's stick with these two for now. Under a universal basic income program, everyone gets the same amount of money every month, regardless of their current income level. Someone who has zero income gets the same amount as someone making 300 grand. And then at tax time, the government claws back that money from people whose income is over a certain amount. But under a guaranteed basic income program, those people with incomes below a certain level are the only ones who receive the monthly amount, so there's no clawing back at the end of the year. This isn't a new idea. There have been pilot programs here in Canada as well as in other countries. In Canada, Ontario started a pilot in 2017, which was cancelled following a change in government. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal Liberal government implemented the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or CERB. Now, CERB wasn't like Universal Basic Income or Guaranteed Basic Income, though, because there were conditions on that program, but CERB did show us that a caring, supportive government can rise to an urgent need and start a program that helps vulnerable citizens. And right now, at the start of 2024, there's a Senate bill working its way through the legislative process that would direct development of a framework for a guaranteed basic income program for anyone 17 years of age or older. And one other example from Canada is Quebec's basic income program, which started at the beginning of 2023. Quebec's approach has been to limit the program to those already receiving benefits under their social solidarity program who also have severely limited capacity for employment. The amount of the monthly benefit was $1,211 in 2023, or $14,532 per year. So not a lot of money, but definitely a help. Other countries are trying this out too. In the US, there's the Denver Basic Income Project, a different program for young parents in Baltimore, and of course the Alaska Permanent Fund. The US even has a group called Mayors for a Guaranteed Income that advocates for these programs. Finland, Brazil, South Korea, Iran, Norway. This map from the World Population Review shows countries with different types of guaranteed income programs either implemented or being discussed in a serious way. This is a feasible idea that has caught the attention of many. In fact, 11 Nobel Prize winners, 9 of them economists, have endorsed the guaranteed basic income idea. Why is it a great idea? Well, one, it has a huge impact on poverty reduction. In a report from the Parliamentary Budget Office in April 2021, the estimate for nationwide poverty reduction was just shy of 50% under their definition of poverty. 2, it supports improvements in mental and physical health. Having less worry about whether or not you're going to be able to make next month's rent or if you can put food on the table can lead you to feeling better about life overall. Having a bit more money to buy more nutritious food helps with physical health. Better physical health contributes to better mental health, and vice versa. 3, the positive impact on a person's job growth. Having better financial cushion will help individuals pursue jobs that better suit their interests and skills. It could help people decide to take a risk moving into a different line of work, or to go into a training program they may not otherwise have had the resources for. It could help people bridge financial uncertainty when they're working gig jobs. For people who work in jobs that bring them a lot of personal satisfaction but don't pay them a whole lot, A guaranteed basic income program would help them stay in that role. 4. It could enable people to focus on providing care for children or elderly relatives. People already do this work, but it isn't paid work. A guaranteed basic income would recognize the value of this important role and help pay some bills when there aren't other care options available. 5. It would provide certainty. When you know there'll be a predictable amount of money coming in each month, that will help you plan and reduce the stress of not knowing what's going to happen next. When you don't have any certainty about where the dollars are going to come from, it makes it harder to make good choices for the medium and the long term. 6. Dignity. Under a guaranteed basic income program, recipients who really need the money can feel better about receiving it and using it because everybody gets it. They won't feel like they are a charity case. 7. And another one I really like comes from an article in The Economist in 2018. A guaranteed basic income addresses social justice, individual freedom, and need for basic security. People with basic security tend to be more altruistic and empathetic and engaged in the community. The implementation of a guaranteed basic income could lead to Canadian society becoming even more caring than it already is. And yes, there are people who say, yeah, that's all great, but won't it make people not want to work? Sure, about a dozen people maybe. Look, it is not a ton of money. Surviving on just the guaranteed basic income alone wouldn't really be possible. What it would likely do is enable people to say no to employment opportunities that exploit their situation by paying them unfairly low wages. You don't want to pay people for the actual value of their work? Then under a guaranteed basic income program, it's going to be tougher for you to find those people to exploit. I think that's a good thing. Won't it cost too much? Well, good question. I just mentioned a report from the Parliamentary Budget Office published in April 2021. That report used figures from the Ontario pilot program, which had been cancelled 2 years earlier by the incoming provincial government, and they looked at both the cost as well as the impact on poverty rates. The cost? It's not a small number. In 2021-22, the estimate of total gross costs nationwide was $85 billion, rising annually to a cost of $93 billion in 25-26. There are a lot of other interesting things this report looked at, including the impact of a guaranteed basic income on labor supply, but we're not going to get into that here because I'm trying to keep this video to under an hour. One other thing about the report that I will mention is an assumption that was made when doing the cost calculations. It was assumed there would be a cancellation of a couple of income supplement programs currently in existence to help those most in need. If a guaranteed basic income program was brought in, then those existing programs wouldn't be needed and the funds could offset the cost of the new program. That brings up a really important consideration. There is a danger that governments may think that because a guaranteed basic income is being provided, there can be cuts made to other social programs that would have a lopsided impact and actually make things worse. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be close scrutiny of existing supports, like the guaranteed income supplement for low-income seniors over 65, for instance. But what I am saying is that starting a universal basic income or other guaranteed basic income shouldn't give governments license to wind down all other income supplement programs like the child tax credit and others. These programs should be evaluated for the benefit they bring and for what will happen to those who do benefit from them if they're canceled. If the loss of one program is indeed made up for by the guaranteed basic income, then great. But if an efficient social program will cause harm if it's canceled in the face of the guaranteed basic income, then keep it. So, in summary, there's a lot of positive things about a guaranteed basic income program, and I think it's amazing that we're talking about the possibilities. But a cost approaching $100 billion per year, how are we going to pay for that? Well, you'll find my answer to that in this other video. And don't you think it's time you subscribe to this channel?